Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Steve. Today we're going to get into 40 different Mandela effects. Um, I'm going to reiterate some of them because I have graphics this time. So let's get into it. Now, people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, I think the late 80s, in Panama, I believe. But he didn't die till 2013. But hundreds of thousands of people remember the hubbub and the funeral and all that. Excuse my voice. I'm raspy. But that's what started this whole thing. But since then, there have been thousands of Mandela effects. And I think what's happening is at least three different uh, parallel universes are overlapping, possibly from what CERN is doing over in Switzerland with the Large Hadron Collider. They may have opened a brief, a tiny black hole or something like that, and the fabric of reality is slipping a little bit. Now, there are lots of Mandela effects, but a lot of little ones, and a few really big ones. We'll get into the big ones on the next video. But we got 40 for you here today, so let's get started. Jiffy peanut butter. Remember Jiffy peanut butter? There's never been a Jiffy peanut butter in this timeline. Uh, it's always been Jif. No matter what you think. I mean, where you're from, maybe they were. Looney Tunes. How do you spell Looney Tunes? Toons or Tunes? That doesn't even make sense. It's not tunes. They're cartoons. Toons. But they're Tunes here in this timeline. The Berenstein Bears. Remember them? EIN, not AIN. Berenstain Bears. But that's what they are here in this timeline, Berenstain Bears. Now, if your parents put these Berenstain Bears uh, books in the attic when you were a kid, when you were done with them, and pulled them out now, they would say Berenstain Bears because it actually changes history, and it's hard to think. It's a hard thing to get your mind around, but it shook me hard especially when I saw the geographical differences in the world. Anyway, Curious George. Does he have a tail or doesn't he? Well, I remember him definitely having a tail because he was swinging around by that thing all the time. But in this universe, he doesn't have a tail. In the new universe, uh, he doesn't have one. Sex in the City, that's what I remember. Sex in the City. I never watched the show, but I remember it being Sex in the City because I thought it should be Sex and the City. I mean, it makes more sense, but it's Sex and the City, not Sex in the City here. Febreze. You remember Febreeze or Febreze? Well, it's one Z in the middle here, not two, but I remember the two. Oscar Mayer Wieners. My baloney has a first name, Oscar. My baloney has a second name, Meyer, not Mayer. But that's what it is here, Mayer, Oscar Mayer. Skechers does not have a T in the name in this timeline. Fruit Loops, Fruit or Froot. Fruit Loops. Well, it's Fruit Loops here. This doesn't affect me because I do remember Fruit Loops. See, that's why there's got to be at least three, because not all. Some affect me, some don't. Just like everybody else. Everybody's not going to be affected by every Mandela effect. Um, let's try to move on here. Henry VIII. Do you remember the turkey leg in his photo? This portrait. But no, he has a pair of gloves in his hand. But I remember the turkey leg. I think a lot of people remember the turkey leg. Uh, Uncle Pennybags. I think that's his name from Monopoly, the Monopoly Man. You remember him having a monocle? I do. I mean, of course he did. But he doesn't. Not in this timeline. Pikachu. Did he have a black tip on his tail? Well, he doesn't. How many people remember? Let me know in the comments. How many people remember he had a black tip? Leave a comment on any of these that you want to leave a comment on, because I'm interested to hear your feedback. Kit Kat, hyphenated or not hyphenated? Well, it's not hyphenated, but I remember the hyphen. Fruit of the Loom. I clearly remember there being a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom label. But no, there's just a bunch of fruit here in this timeline. And that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it a different timeline, or a different uh, parallel part of the parallel universes that overlap. I mean, it's hard to get my head around. I'm sure it's hard for you to get your head around, but man, there's so many little Mandela effects. There's a few big ones too, like the geographical ones, which we're going to get into in the next video. Cheez-Its or Cheez-It? I clearly remember Cheez-Its because I love those things. I'm not so much now, but maybe I ate too many. But it's Cheez-It here in this timeline. Double stuffed Oreos. One F or two Fs? I remember two Fs. It's one F here. The Mona Lisa. Did she smile? Like, got a little smirk like this one? Or nothing like this one? Well, it was nothing. Now, she's got a little smirk on her face. But she never had it before. She's famous for that. Not having a smile. But she does now. C3PO. Do you remember the silver leg? Wouldn't that have stood out to you in the video? I mean, movie. He never had a silver leg, but he does now in this timeline. Always did. Flintstones. Two T's or one T? I remember Flintstones because that's just where you say it, Flintstones. But here it's Flintstones. Now, this doesn't affect me personally, but Chartreuse, a lot of people remember this being Chartreuse, but this is Chartreuse now, here in this timeline. But I remember it being this one. Life is like a box of chocolates. He never said that in the movie. Not in this timeline. He said, Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. Was like. But I remember life is like a box of chocolates. Uh, the evil queen in Snow White never said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? She said, magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Now, I know you remember mirror, mirror on the wall. Look, I am your father. He didn't say that in this timeline. He says, no, I am your father. Run, you fools. Now, Gandalf, apparently, people remember him saying, run, you fools. But he said, fly, you fools, in this timeline. And everybody remembers, hello, Clarice. But he didn't say that. Good morning, he said. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Now, We Are the Champions ends with of the world, but not in this timeline. In this timeline, it just, we are the champions is the last line, not of the world. Mr. Rogers. Now, Mr. Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Not here, not now. He says it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Doesn't even make sense. A lot of people remember the United States being taught that the United States had 51 or 52, mostly 52. But, and this doesn't affect me either, because I always remember it having 50 states, Hawaii being the last. But a lot of people remember it the other way around. Sinbad, Kazam, the movie, he never made it. Never made it. Even he says he's never made a movie as a genie. You know, do you remember it? I do. Let me know. Smokey Bear. Now this one doesn't affect me either, because I know that Smokey Bear was Smokey Bear, but a lot of people remember Smokey the Bear. But who knows, right? Neil Armstrong's death. Um, People didn't realize he passed in 2012. I don't know what this is all about. Maybe you can do some research on your own. Billy Graham's death. Uh, People don't remember him dying long ago because it didn't happen long ago. He died in 2018. I mean, people do remember him dying long ago, but it didn't happen until 2018. Mother Teresa's canonization. Now, I remember her being Mother Teresa, a saint, for as long as I can remember. But apparently, it didn't happen until 2016, after her death. What do you remember? Now, the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. A lot of people remember it happened in 1984, 85, but it actually didn't happen until 1986 in this timeline. I remember that day so well. I was on a job interview when I heard the Lindbergh baby. Now, in my timeline, they never found that baby. Never knew who did it. I remember the ladder on the side of the house. Nobody ever found that baby. But in this timeline, the killer was found and the baby was found dead. And he was sentenced to death. Patrick Swayze died of pancreatic cancer. A lot of people remember him recovering. Uh, I don't remember that. Leonardo DiCaprio's first Oscar. A lot of people think he got an Oscar way before the one he got in 2016, but he didn't. I mean, I mean, if you're affected by this, maybe he did. Walt Disney World's Lost Castle. Not Lost Castle. The castle at Walt Disney World in Orlando. A lot of people remember it being at the entrance, but it's not. But thousands of people remember it being at the entrance, being the actual entrance to the park. So, what do you think, people? Let me know in the comments. If you would, please like and subscribe. It's a small thing for you, but it's huge for me. I'd really appreciate it. Um, that's what I got for you today. So, well, I'll see you next time.